just talking to Cheryl, you see what kind of high level functioning executive she is. And she was when she was in the working field, right? So then you go from that to I'm going to be a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
Which is a huge transition, right?
I never thought I would do it.
Yeah. So what was that decision about? If you don't mind sharing, if you don't have to. If
yeah.
Okay.
No, I mean, there was for sure a moment. I have 3 children. At one point, I had 3 kids that were 3 and under, and I was working. And I remember I was preparing a presentation for our senior leadership team at the network and then for one of our team partners. And we were getting ready to go into the boardroom to do our presentation. And I was leading it. And I am in the hallway and I get a call from my nanny. At this point, we have twin girls. At the time, they were 18 months. And I get a call from the nanny. And she doesn't normally call. And she says,
hey, if you are liking the show and you want it to keep going, you got to help us by subscribing. It's real easy. Just subscribe right here. Also, comment. I don't care if you hate it. You can comment that you hate it. Comment that you love the show. We just need your engagement to keep it going. Also, if you're on social media, follow us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram at the Geena the Latina Show. All right, let's get back to it. So today's episode is for it's like kind of like a big array of people. So it's for if you're a working mom who ever had to transition from working mom to being a stay-at-home mom, or maybe you're a stay-at-home mom who wants to start working again, and all those feelings in between. That's why I brought on today's guest, Cheryl Gorman. Thank you for coming.
thank you for having me.
Thank you. So let me give her your back. So she's usually behind the scenes. So this is like, thank you, first of all, for jumping out of your comfort zone. I was having dinner with her and I was like, would you want to come in front of the camera? Because so she was a former sports media executive for like over 16 years. She has 6 Emmy Awards as a producer, correct? Right? So she's a high level functioning media executive. And then you decided to be a stay-at-home mom, right? On top of that, she is the founder of the Black Future Foundation, where you provide college scholarships and mentorships for African-American students, right?
Yes.
And you are also, there's like a accolade of things. You are the school board vice chair and board member of the Miracle League of San Diego.
Yeah.
So she does a lot for the community still, right? And a stay-at-home mom.
And a stay-at-home mom.
But we were having this conversation at dinner, and I love bringing my friends on. Cheryl's my friend. And we were talking about the struggles of going from, I was telling you, I don't know if I would just be able to like quit my job and go to be a stay-at-home mom so let's go back. So 16 years as a sports media executive, high level. Let's talk about that. Working in a male-dominated field too.
Male-dominated, high pressure, nights and weekends, all day.
Was this pre-kids?
This was pre and post-kids.
Okay.
Definitely the career of my dreams. What I always knew I wanted to be in media and in journalism. So in high school, I knew that's what I was going to college for. Went to Syracuse, pursued that, and then got my job at a sports network right after.
Yeah, a major sports network.
Yeah, and really loved it. Made some great connections, have some fantastic memories and experiences. Like,
are you allowed to say where? Or
I worked at Fox Sports, which is now Bally's.
Yeah.
And loved it. Still tight with all of my friends there and the teams that I worked with. It was awesome.
And what did you do there?
So I was head of marketing. So my responsibility was all the sponsorships, all the creative, all the content that you see on and off channel, billboards, promotions, all the team partnerships, team relationships in the Southern California footprint. Those are my clients.
Yeah. How many women would you say were at your level there?
3.
3. And what is that like in percentage too?
Oh, that's probably about 20%.
20%?
20%. And as an African-American woman.
I was just going to say that.
I was the only African-American woman.
Yeah.
We did at one point have an African-American general manager, which was great.
Yeah.
But definitely very much in the minority in a lot of ways in my career.
And how did you maneuver through that, or what did you how did you become successful in that realm? Because I mean in my job, it's women are barely starting to, you know, how did you tackle that, I guess?
Well, I think I go back to like how I was raised. You know, my dad always told me and like instilled in me that no matter what, you can do and be who you want to be. And it was almost like forcefully like shoved down my throat for so many years. And in my mind, I think I always tried to zone it out, because if you really started to look at it, it's disturbing. It can make you feel small. It can make you feel like, I've had moments where I've walked into rooms and people don't believe that I'm the decision maker, or I'm the woman in charge, or that the team works for me.
Yeah. I've had, let me, so I've had people come into, I work in the radio station, come in and talk to my male co-owner and not even look at me.
Yes.
When there's a decision to be made.
Yes.
I'm not saying that's recent, but in the past, we've made a lot of strides, right?
Yes.
And that is like inside, your blood starts boiling, and we're equal. It's not like, what I mean?
Yes, yes.
Right?
Yeah. And all of a sudden it's like, why do I have to prove this? I already have. Like, I'm here.
Yeah.
So there isn't really anything at this point to prove. We are in the process of doing business, We're not earning it anymore, know? But in my mind, I've always had to
I want to give a quick shout out to our food sponsor, Cravings Fruit. They're a fruteria in Santee, and they have lots of fruit with chamoy today. They brought us some tortas, sandwiches. They even got candied apples. Of course, they have all the green juices, and this, I believe, is a watermelon juice. Shout out to Cravings. Thanks for being our food sponsor.
But in my mind, I've always had to mentally go to a different place and focus on the business that I'm here to do and let my work speak for itself, you know? And usually after that happens, then we're in good shape.
Yeah. I always, and I'm assuming this is what you're talking about, because I always tell some of the younger people that work in the business, women, like, you teach people how to treat you.
Yes.
And that is 100%. Like, people will walk all over you, but you teach them how to treat you. And at first they may be like, what? But then they'll treat you appropriately. Would you, that sounds kind of what you would do in me.
I agree. Oh, you have to. Well, you have to. And you also have to put yourself in spaces where you get a chance to talk about it. So I've been a part of a number of different, outside organizations, specifically with women in sports, elevating our younger women and being able to talk with them and others about what that experience is like. Because for so many people, they don't realize it. They move in the world in their experience and the lens that they have. They don't think about the lens that I have and what I see and experience. And so when you get a chance to use your voice and communicate your feelings about what this experience is like, it does open up like another avenue of conversation. And it also lets people look within themselves, And
I like to take a second for women in whatever career you're in, whatever you're in, at whatever level, even if it's entry level, even if it's intern, you are setting precedent for the next generation of women, because I know we've made strides, but we have a long way to go.
Yes.
And your little bit of whatever you're doing, wherever you're at matters.
It does.
It really does.
My team primarily was composed. I would try to balance it as much as I could, so that we always had young women in the middle of their careers, just to make sure that there is still an echelon. Like, if you don't pave the path for people behind you, what are you doing? You know? But in those spaces, my conversations with them have to do with, what are you wearing? How are you showing up to work? What is your commitment level? How are you communicating? These things are so important because it sets the habits.
Yeah.
This is like the foundation of how you're going to move within the world and how people are going to see you.
Yeah.
And so I was probably harder on a lot of them, because I want them to realize that the little things that they're doing now matter so much more down the road.
Yeah. Give us an example of what you told the girls that worked for you.
Oh, well, sometimes, in professional sports, you're one-on-one with a lot of the players. So you're in close proximity. And I always had a thing about pants. This is so, people that know me know this, but I have a thing about the pants that you wear. Because I would always buy my pants one size too big, so that I never was in a space of nothing too fitted. I don't want you to look at me in that way. I want you to look at me as a professional woman. I'm here to do my job, and that's what we're here to do. And any women that work with me, their attire is so important. And we had a woman that worked with us who was going into the locker rooms and was wearing extremely short shorts.
Yeah.
And we can't do that.
Yeah.
Because it's a distraction, it's unprofessional, and it sends a message that no one on my team should be sending.
Yeah.
And we had to have a conversation about what that really means. What are you communicating in the physical way that you're showing up?
Yeah. And in a perfect world, none of that should matter. You should be able to walk in wherever you're wearing and they should respect you and it shouldn't influence it. But in a male dominated world, and I can say that with radio too, because I had a rule, I would never hook up with any of the celebrities because the second you do as a girl, or like you're labeled a hoe, you're labeled this, you're labeled that. The guy DJs, they could hook up with whoever. Like they could hook up with whoever and they're like get accolades, right? And it's unfortunate that we can't, it's not equal yet, but even this year, it's still not. So I am with you on that. I would love to get to the point where none of that matters, but it still does. It does. And I have always said that I have been treated in my whole career like a professional, and I was never treated like a hoe, even though I'm not saying the girls that even hooked up with celebrities are, but that's how they're labeled for the rest of their career. It's really sad.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then what do you do? Like, how do you move forward? And let's be real too. I mean, it's not just if she had that same outfit on walking into the WNBA locker room, it's still inappropriate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you have to, you have to look at it both sides. And yes, there's a stereotype on the one side, but I mean, at the end of the day,
hey, you, subscribe right here at the Geena the Latina Show. Subscribe and make sure you follow us on social media on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram at the Geena the Latina Show. All right, let's get back to it.
It is inappropriate and we are here to do a job. Yeah. So if you're committed to the
you
job.
You sound like a tough boss. Yeah. No wonder why she won 6 Emmys, huh? No, that's good.
I have a high bar. They know this. Yes.
So let's talk about the Emmys. What did you win 6 Emmys for?
Yeah. A lot of my work with the Padres, which is great.
Okay,
3 campaigns that I created. One during the All-Star Game, 2016 here, which is great. And then 3 others for college basketball and opening day promotions for the Padres and for Fox. So.
So I wanted to get a little bit of your background because this episode is not, because we could do a whole episode on everything we're talking about. But just talking to Cheryl, you see what kind of high-level functioning executive she is, and she was when she was in the working field, right? So then you go from that to I'm going to be a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
Which is a huge transition, right?
I never thought I would do it.
Yeah. So what was that decision about, if you don't mind sharing? If you don't have to.
No, I mean, there was for sure a moment. I have 3 children. At one point, I had 3 kids that were 3 and under, and I was working. And I remember I was preparing a presentation for our senior leadership team at the network and then for one of our team partners. And we were getting ready to go into the boardroom to do our presentation. And I was leading it. And I am in the hallway and I get a call from my nanny. At this point, we have twin girls. At the time, they were 18 months. And I get a call from the nanny. And she doesn't normally call. And she says, one of your daughters is bleeding through her stool in her diaper, and I don't know what to do. And I am standing outside of the boardroom with everyone in the room waiting for me to come in and do this presentation. And I'm like, okay. So I'm calmly on the phone and I'm trying to direct what we should do. Do we need to call like an ambulance? Like I'm trying to make these decisions. And I give her direction on what to do. In the meantime, I've got the team president, are you ready to get started? I'm like, I absolutely am. I'll be there in one moment.
The team of the major league, whatever. Okay.
And I'm on the phone and I'm like, just a moment. I'm going to just finishing up this call and I'll be right there. And I am figuring out if we need to call 911, like giving direction to the nanny. And I get her straight, send her to the doctor with my mother. And since there's twins, they both have to go. So now there's 2 children in the car. They're traveling to the doctor. I go in and they're like, okay, are you ready to get started? I'm like, yep, I absolutely am. I go in, I do the presentation. It is an hour. And then I lead the presentation. I tell one of my close colleagues, I have a little family emergency. I'm going to need to leave right now. So I can't stay and do the dinner portion. But let me know if you need anything. And I race in my car and race to the doctor to go deal with my child.
And this is something, this whole thing is what mothers go through. all the time. There's just an array of things. I always say, like, I don't know how working mothers do it. Like, I don't know, because I'm not a mother, and I can't imagine being able to do all of these things and be a mother. I'm not saying it's impossible, obviously, because so many women do it, but they do not get the credit for it. Like, I mean, they do get the credit, but not really. Like, it seems impossible, but that's like exactly what happened, right?
Yes.
So this happens. You
So
go
this
home
happens.
where your kids are okay.
Get through that, deal with that. Everything is fine. They're fine. And I just said, I think I've got to make a decision because I can't live like this. Like, this is not real.
Hey, you, if you're watching this, subscribe. I know you're watching because we have the analytics, and a lot of people that watch us are not actually subscribed to our YouTube channel. So subscribe and like at the Geena the Latina Show on YouTube, on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, at the Geena the Latina Show. Let's get back to the show.
Like, this is not real. I feel like I'm failing everyone. I'm, not able to give. I mean, I gave my best. Could I have given more? Absolutely. And then my child is dealing with this, and I've got a 25-year-old nanny that's in this position, and that's not, that necessarily fair to her. Something's got to give. And that was the moment that I said, okay, I think I know that I've got to make a tough choice, and my family's always going to come first, at the end of the day. So
you make this decision.
Make the decision
to be a stay-at-home mom. And how is that transition for you? Like, emotionally, I guess.
My God, it was.
Because I can't imagine, like, I am like you. Like, I'm a go, do this, like, whatever. Like, but I mean, it's still do this, just in a different environment.
Right.
Probably more, right?
My bosses are like, 2 feet tall.
Yeah.
But it was and still is the biggest challenge of my life.
Okay.
Because I am no longer, I'm living not for myself, I'm living for my kids. And I'm trying to constantly set an example for the type of person that they're going to be in the world. So I say I was in the business of sports and building marketing campaigns and working with team partnerships and all that. And now I'm in the business of building people. And
which is more important.
Which is more important and way more longstanding.
Yeah.
And a different level of demands. But there's definitely a lot of what I've learned and run in my organization at Fox to what I do in my run my little employees at home, but I run in my house,
Yeah.
And I tell you what, though, it has taught me that kids are your mirror. And they will tell you, and they really show you how you're showing up in the world. If you think that you're a great person, you think you're empathetic, you think you're giving to your community, you think you're loving and kind, I tell you what, you ask a 6-year-old about that. And they will tell you the truth about yourself. Yes. Yeah. And I've had definitely moments of like, oh my gosh, like, am I showing up in the world the way I want to? Like, I've had those moments.
Yeah.
So it's been very revealing for me. Definitely a time in my life I would not change because kids are never this age, they're only this age for a certain amount of time. This is all you really have with them.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's made me a better person, and it's forced me to go through some like serious challenges of myself.
Yeah. And so you touched on this a little bit, but like you said, your life is about the kids now, right?
Yeah.
And you have been a stay-at-home mom for how long now?
3 years.
3 years, right? So I've had friends that stay-at-home mom their whole life, right? And at some point they say they feel they've lost a sense of who they are and their passions and their goals. And have you felt like that, or have you figured out how to like substitute something? Because I know you still run other organizations, even though you're stay-at-home mom. Like, touch a little bit about that. Do you feel like not like a loss, but like you shouldn't, but I guess it's natural.
Yeah, it is. I mean, because it was a loss. I say to my husband, like, I had to divorce myself from that life, I had to divorce myself from being a corporate executive to now, a whole new schedule and a whole new set of, responsibilities. For me, I definitely feel like there's been a loss and a change. And the way I've tried to deal with it is by still accomplishing my own personal goals by building our foundation and getting involved in all the organizations I am a part of, because those are things that are still like intrinsically important to me that I didn't have an opportunity to do as much of when I was working, because so much of the time that I spent, in sports, it's all day, nights and weekends. I didn't have a chance to do as much give back as I wanted to. And so I've tried to carve out a space for myself in that realm. There can always be more.
Yeah.
I still seek more. But those organizations and my community, other community groups that I'm a part of, like mom community groups that are focused on our kids, are where I find where I can be more of myself.
Yeah.
That is where I make the separation. And I try very hard to make sure that, and that's why I am so busy, because I don't want to solely be just at home. I think there are a lot of moms, there's a lot of talent sitting at these playgrounds and these parks and some of these mothers. It's incredible who I meet. And I try to make sure that, we have an opportunity to spend that time together in those organizations doing that and not just, making sandwiches and
because
being a glorified Uber driver.
So I think what I'm hearing too, what I'm hearing is that if you are a stay-at-home mom and you do need to be fulfilled or whatever, find these other groups, find these other things where you can still, maybe you're not working per se in the work field, but you're working, doing other things, right? And that's what keeps you sane.
It's the entrepreneurship in you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like growing the foundation was really the main thing between that and the Miracle League, those are the two things that I always wanted to do more of that I never had a chance to do.
Yeah.
I still use so much of my corporate experience in that. And I get a chance to do some of the things that really matter to me, like making a difference and being an example to my kids in a time where I still need to primarily be their main, they still are my primary focus.
Yeah. Tell me about the Miracle League a little bit.
Oh my God, I love the Miracle League. If you don't know about the Miracle League, oh my goodness, get ready to tear up.
Oh gosh.
There's some organizations where you go and experience how an organization makes an impact. And there's some that touch you differently. The Miracle League is one that touches me differently. So we focus on working with kids that have special needs, both developmental and physical. And we support their ability to play organized sports, in particular baseball.
Okay.
So a lot of the kids that are part of the Miracle League would not typically be able to be in a normal sports league. This is their only chance for their parents to get them a jersey, to put them on a field, for them to round the bases and have a crowd cheer for them.
Yeah.
A lot of these kids are in wheelchairs. So we play on a rubber field, and they have buddies that join them and kind of help and support them in that process. And we focus on what they can do versus what they can't. So what can you do? All right, you can round these bases in your wheelchair. Fantastic. We're about to round these bases. We are going to cheer for you, and we're going to let you have that exhilaration and joy of being a part of a team.
Yeah.
And I love it. And these kids come back year after year. It is a true family.
So if you're a single mom and you want to get involved in different organizations, how did you get involved in this? Do you just is it easy?
Well, funny enough, Miracle League I've worked with through Fox. They were one of our community partners for a number of years. And when I announced that I was going to be transitioning, they asked me to join their board.
Oh, okay. They're like, hey, you're going to have a little bit
more time. Can you help us out? I was
like,
okay. So I've been with them for the last 4 years. But I think it's about really looking within yourself and asking yourself, outside of the job that you have as a corporate, whatever job you have, and outside of being a mother, who are you?
Yes.
Who are you? Who is Cheryl? Who is Cheryl before this and after this? Who are you?
And how do you find that? Because I've had a friend who I've asked that, and their kids went off to college, empty nesting, and I said what's gonna make you happy, or what's your passion? And she said, I don't know.
Yes, that is a real answer.
I don't know. And she was serious. I didn't think she was lying or anything, but she really didn't. How do you find your passion outside of being a mom, a wife, a worker? How do you find who you are?
I think you have to spend, this is where you have to spend time with yourself. You have to separate yourself. I mean, when I say spend time with yourself, I mean go away. Leave your family, leave your friends. If it's a weekend in Palm Springs, if it's just going to someone's house and being by yourself and being alone in the silence, meditating, reading, and truly thinking about journaling. I journal.
Yeah.
And writing down the words and the things that really matter to you. And it doesn't matter what it is. I think we're so conditioned to okay, once you go to school, you pick your career. That's what you're going to go for. You're going to focus on that. And then that's the road you go down. And you make that choice for lots of reasons. Financial, what you think you can do, what maybe your family has encouraged you to do. But have you ever really sat and thought about what you want to do?
Yeah.
And for me, what I always want to do is I like to give back to the community because it makes me feel good, and I feel like I'm making a long-standing impact, and I feel like I'm good at that, and I enjoy it. And if you enjoy it, you're going to keep doing it. So I think it's like a matter of seriously taking time away. And people don't understand how much, do we get a lot? I mean, we don't get a lot of silence. How much silence do you get in your life?
No.
You know
Not
what I
that
mean?
much.
Like, not that much.
Especially
Even
as
without children.
especially as a
Geena?
mom.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just to like sit there and
Yeah,
be
but even
quiet.
like, dog moms, I mean, there women in today, I feel, when we start thinking about, we can go down a whole nother road on gender roles. But I mean, when we start thinking about like, when you start taking that silence and really thinking about what you enjoy and what you like and give it a shot.
Yeah.
Just give it a shot.
Yeah.
Take away money, take away like take away schedules, take away the barriers that exist and think about what you want to do and find a way to volunteer.
Do it.
And volunteer, yeah.
Do we want to go down gender roles? We have a few extra minutes here. You sounded pretty passionate about it. I think we should go. Because honestly, okay, well, I don't know where you're going with this, but this is what came to mind. And I'm just, this is an open podcast.
Right.
Is like women are expected to do everything, okay? From like, I know we've made a lot of, and not all, this is not like a man bashing side, and a lot of, but women cook, clean, take care of the kids, work, just do the laundry, like, and they're expected to. And yes, men help, but it's still like, it's, I mean, very rarely is it 50-50.
Well,
right?
yeah. And I mean,
what is, and I don't know where you were going with that, but.
Well, where I was going was, there's a woman, her name is Ursula Burns. She was the first African-American female CEO of a Fortune 500 company. She's the CEO of Xerox. And she did an interview a couple of years ago. And she's a mom. She has children. And she said in her interview that she does not believe it's necessary to be at all of your kids' events. She is committed to her career. Her husband is the one who has retired and is basically raising the kids.
Okay.
And in order for her to get to where she is, this is what had to happen. So, and there was a lot of controversy about it because you don't often hear a lot of women say, I don't need to be there for my kids' events. Like, it's okay. I don't need to be there for every single one. And she even said, when I am there, sometimes I'm not watching every pitch. I am doing a crossword puzzle. I am relaxing my mind. And I was like, good for you a little bit. Like, sorry. But I was like, good for you, girl. But the point is that you don't hear a lot of women that say that because typically to get to that level where she is, someone else is filling in the gap. And her husband's filling in the gap. And when they say it takes a village, I mean, that is real. That statement is real.
Yeah.
So point being, typically, a lot of women are more on the other side of that. Yeah. And when you talk about this, I mean, we can start getting into salary gap and the wage gap. I think like last year, it was like 16 or 17%. So a woman has to work 12 months to make, or 15 months to make what a man would make in 12 months. Plus all, so when you look at the balance of it, you have to say to yourself, what is the most important thing in my life? And where do I want to put my time? And where can I be the most like impactful? And how am I going to make that happen? And sometimes it does, and a lot of it does fall on the woman, I think. And so but you have to find the balance, or I shouldn't say balance because balance is the right word. You have to find where you're going to prioritize in the moment.
Yeah. And how do that brings me to the next thing, because I wanted to bring this up. Mom guilt and guilt. So you said you have to prioritize, right? So when you're obviously you're like she said, you're focused on one thing, something else is going to lack, or someone else is going to pick up. How do you deal with that guilt, or is there guilt? Even?
There is a ton of guilt.
Yeah, like when you were working and your kids were at home, you had guilt, and then like just always like probably maybe even leaving them right now to come do this podcast, you have guilt.
Yes,
to go. This is considered work. Like, how do you? Let's talk about mom guilt a little bit.
I mean, I definitely sat in the parking lot of my kids' school for at least a year after I dropped them off and went back to work and cried. Like, I was so sad. And I felt like I was failing. Like, as
a mom?
As a mom. Okay. Like, I'm failing as a mom. I should be home with you. Why are you at this preschool? Oh,
you're talking about when you were working.
When I was working.
Yeah,
it's like, I should be with you. Why are these other people raising you? And then flip the script. Now I'm crying like, I don't think I can make any more peanut butter jelly sandwiches. I'm so tired. I'm so sleepy. So the mom guilt is real. no matter how you slice it. But the way, and I'm not perfect, Geena. Like this is a learning process. I am like in it with my other moms out there. But I think the biggest thing that has helped me is having like a community and a support system of people that can say, I see you. I see what you're doing. I support you. You're doing the right things. Your kids are fantastic. Let me tell you all the things that you are doing. And sometimes we forget. You move through the world. You forget all the things that you are doing. You focus on what you're not.
Yeah, right.
You got to focus on what you have done and what you've done well.
Yeah. There's a few things you said in there. So sometimes, and I'm not a mom, but just as a busy person, at some point you just stop. Because, and I can give you an example last night, right? We went to my boyfriend's son's playoff game, right? I had already worked early in the morning, came home, went to the playoff game. I still had to come home, clean up, take some notes to interview you guys, whatever. But last night I just felt myself so tired. I said, you know what? I'm just going to go to sleep and deal with it in the morning, right? And that's what I did. But sometimes it's so hard because you still want to keep going.
Yes.
But then if I would have done that till like midnight and then woke up at 6 for hair and makeup today, I would have been like tired. So instead I just cut it.
Yeah.
I feel like at some point we just need to give ourselves grace and just be like, that's it. We can't do any more today.
You do.
I don't care how many more things we got to do. We can't do anymore, right?
You can't. No.
Right?
And I take a stop. I mean, I have my girls' trips. I try to do something, at least for me, it's like twice a year where I just do something that is just me with my mom friends or by myself to take a moment to like have reflection.
Yeah.
And give yourself you got to give yourself more credit. I feel like we don't do that. Women don't do that. We are so focused on like what's missing and fixing it, instead of celebrating what you have done.
Right?
Yeah, celebrate it.
Yeah,
celebrate it. Because if you don't...
My kid got to school today and they didn't even spill it on themselves this morning. Good job.
Proud of you. Proud of you.
You said community. And when you mean community, do you mean your friends, your family? Who are you talking about? Like, because if someone says like, well, I don't have a community, who are these people?
So for me, I'm a part of an organization called Jack and Jill of America. And we are a group of families and moms with our children. And we get together monthly to create events in philanthropy, education, culture, and we provide these opportunities to our kids so they can have, experiences beyond what they currently do. But the moms in the community, like we are all together raising kids, K through 12, and we are there supporting each other in this process too. And those are the moms that I go to. When I have any challenges, like that is where I go.
So you've become friends with this?
Yes, they are like my sisters.
Because I've had friends that have made friends with like the other baseball moms, other softball moms. So you're saying just find a good group of people that are going through the same thing as you do to lean on.
That you connect with, you know, and they might be in the space where your kids are or not, maybe, I have different pockets of groups of support groups and friends, some that I've worked with that I still remain very close with, and some that, that I've met through my kids. And
some that you just go have drinks with when you need drinks like me.
Yes, like I have to go have a Geena the Latina margarita. Yes, absolutely, anytime. Yes. We have all, you have all ranges because they serve all parts of me, you know, and that helps to refuel me. I say when my tank starts getting to E, it's time for dinner with my girlfriends.
And it's recognizing that.
Yes.
Because I think a lot of people and moms and even dads run themselves, I was talking to my boyfriend about this, run themselves to they don't realize what what they need. Like my boyfriend went on a cruise recently and he's like, I really needed to be around guys. He didn't even know the guys, but he became friends with them. You know what I mean? But why let it get to that point? How do you recognize when you're when your tank is going down? What's your first sign, I guess?
My first sign is when I start to get snappy. I start to get short-tempered and I'm not as kind as I normally am or patient, that I know I'm tired and it's time for a break.
Yeah.
And I used to feel guilty about saying, okay, guys, I'm going to go to dinner with my friends. Almost is that okay?
Yeah.
Are you guys going to be okay without me? And, they don't want you to leave.
Yeah.
But my husband will even say, you're better when you go. You got to go.
Yeah.
Please go. And because you come back and you're happy and you're you got great stories and you're back to yourself. You get out of the sweats and you know, and you get dressed and you become more of yourself. And for me, especially having girls, I don't want to get lost in that. I want them to see a strong, independent woman. And because
Not
that's
a
what
tired woman that's
not
always tired.
correct.
And
Yes. Yeah.
It's funny you brought that up.
Yeah.
So I'm going to share a little story that I
Okay.
was like, oh, wow, she really does do this. So we went out with your husband one night and I thought you were just home, like you didn't come, right? I was like, where's Cheryl? You were literally like down the street at the Pendry Hotel. We were like 3 blocks away. I was like, why isn't she out with us? Oh, I'm like, it's her birthday weekend. Oh, she went out with friends? No, she's just there. She booked a hotel for the weekend by herself to get away. I'm like, oh, okay, like get away from all of us too. Okay, I get it. But then I talked to you after that. You're like, yeah, I just needed to like just get away, and that's what you did for your birthday weekend.
That's exactly what yes, it was awesome. Do you know what I did? I walked the farmer's market. I sat and had breakfast by myself. I read a book. I was like, is this what it's like out here? Like, what is, oh my God.
Yeah.
You know?
And he even said, no, that's what she needs. And he was very supportive of it.
Yes.
Like it wasn't, I was like, oh, okay. Like, cause I thought that was really a cool thing to see as like a husband, wife. So maybe, and I wanted to get real quick to the, don't feel bad about asking for help, right? Or like how you said, don't feel bad for going out to dinner with your girlfriends. I mean, it's such a basic thing, but moms, I feel guilty to even just go have dinner for 2 hours. I'm not even talking about like a rager,
No.
Yeah.
Just leaving the house.
How did you change your mind frame though from feeling guilty to like, hey, I'm going out with my girls this weekend. We're going to figure this out.
Well, sadly, it was because I think I had reached a breaking point. I was just so tired and so depleted. I was like, I think I actually need to do this because I can't do it anymore. Like something's gotta give.
Yeah.
And so that was my experience, which I would not recommend. I definitely recommend being preemptive with this.
Yeah.
And scheduling it out with your friends and knowing what you like, truly being in touch with knowing like what you need.
And just telling your spouse and kids. And,
yes.
And realizing they're always going to want you there, but they'll be there when you get back.
Yeah, exactly. Right? I left today and my daughter was like, please don't leave me. And I'm like, I love you. I'm going to go see Auntie Geena today. And she was like, tell her hi.
I'll give her a shout out on the radio.
Exactly. She's fine. But at the end, I mean, it's good to be wanted, but it's so important to like, you have to preemptively schedule these things into your life.
And I feel like it's a thought process change that can be slowly like today, if you're watching this, listening to this, and you feel guilty about even accepting help. I know a lot of people don't like to accept help. Like you said, it takes a village.
It does.
Take that offer from your cousin that will take care of the kids so you can go do it or whatever. But it is a mind frame change, like where you don't feel guilty. And so I feel like when you those thoughts start coming back up, like just quickly change it, and soon it just becomes your way of life.
Yeah. And then once you see the results too, like now I see it, I'm like, you know what? They are okay.
Yeah.
Everything is fine.
Yeah, they're there when you get back.
Yeah, they're happy. And then I have great stories to tell about what I've been doing or what's been happening. And we all feel energized. Now we can go and we can all have a great day. You know what I mean?
Yeah. When you're feeling better than everybody.
Then everybody feels better. But the mom guilt is real. Like, and I mean, you talk about like mental health. Oh my goodness. Like some of these things, when you read these horrible stories about the experiences that some of these moms have had, it's real because you reach a breaking point, and it's the preemptive point. Just like when you're in an organization and when you're in a business, you have a plan, you have a strategy, you have a year, a look ahead for what you're doing for the year.
Yeah.
Why don't you have that for yourself? Yeah. You need that for yourself.
Yeah. So
you are just as important.
I think that's the point. You are as important. Yes. Like, so I think the point of today is to like be preemptive. Like know when let's not get to the breaking point, especially as a mom, a dad, a parent, or let's not get there. No. I have a question for you before we wrap up. Are you going to come back into the corporate world ever? Are you going to stay a stay-at-home mom?
I think I'm inching my way back in there.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm inching my way back in. My kids are older now, and I think it's time. Yeah? Time for a little return.
Yeah, I was at dinner. I was like, oh, so you want to, if you want to get your feet wet, you can, we always need help on the Geena Latina show. You're more than welcome to come.
I would love it.
Really quickly before, I want to talk about your nonprofit.
Oh, thanks.
Okay, tell everybody where they can find it and what exactly it is.
Black Future Foundation. We can be found at blackfuturefoundation.org. We are providing 3 college scholarships every year to African-American students who are college-bound in in need, and we provide them $5,000 for their first year of college, and we provide them mentorship as well. So we're always looking for like businesses who are interested in providing shadow opportunities, or would just do interviews with students who are looking to grow their career, don't know what they want to do, and they're looking to speak with someone that could be inspiring. And we're also looking for funding as well, so we can continue to provide more college scholarships to our students.
Yeah.
But last year, we just finished up our third cohort, our second cohort. We had 586 applicants.
Wow.
And I tell you what, if you're having a rough day and you're like, you know what, I just don't feel like shit today, read some of these essays.
Right. I've read them.
And they will, yes, and they will give you a quick level set on where you are in your life.
A perspective.
They will give you real perspective. Some of my best days have been making calls, awarding money.
I know,
to our student. Oh my God, just like I mean, the tears and the happiness and the joy, knowing that they're going to be able to go to college. And achieve their dreams and aspirations. A lot of them are first generation. It just like warms my heart.
That's awesome.
BlackFutureFoundation.org. Our next cohort is starting in January. Okay.
And where can people find you on Instagram? I know she's new to being in front of the camera. And she's going to start posting more on Instagram and do all the things. But where can they find you?
Cheryl Gorman 08 is where you can find me on Instagram.
And can moms reach out to you if they have questions?
Absolutely, please.
Cheryl's like one of the, you're a light to the world. You really are. And just always good energy. And so I appreciate you coming from behind the scenes to the front of the camera. And then maybe one time you can help us win an Emmy eventually.
Oh, I got you. I'm down. That's a good goal. I like that. Let's do it. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.